Tonight, the minority in parliament fires a blistering attack at the Mahama administration, demanding an end to what it calls empty promises and lavish events, citing government's failure to pay road contractors despite allocating a whopping 5.3 billion cedis for road construction under the Big Push program. But the roads minister has a response.
You don't come into government with this fanfare and say reset, and then you come into the chamber singing. It's not about the songs you sing. Pay contractors.
So when the minority leader says that contractors are not being paid, I don't know whether he's talking about this country or he's talking about something else.
We'll be live in the House as Parliament approves 1.5 billion cedis in the 2026 budget allocation to the Ministry of Transport. Well, top story as always is brought to you by Telecel Connect, and Energy's Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy holy sleep, and also by Shield Pension. Trust into the future with you. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Now, Minority Leader Alexander Feomaki has fired a blistering attack on the government over the non-payment of road contractors, demanding an end to empty promises and lavish events. His anger is sparked by the government's failure to pay road contractors, despite allocating a whopping 5.3 billion for road construction under the Big Push program. During the presentation and adoption of appropriation for the Roads and Highways Ministry, the minority leader criticized the dysfunction of the road fund and its impact on private businesses who have invested massively in road projects.
I want the minister to seize this opportunity to tell us how much was released to him. He became literally redundant because the funds were not released. If you want to rebut this, the record will have him. How much was released? Now you come in, you say we should approve this amount of 5.378 billion. Are you sure the minister is going to release these monies for your operations? Besides, you are almost a year into office. Road fund still has no board. How do you disburse funds to the road contractors? This is part of your inefficiencies you've introduced as part of your so-called reset. I will not use the word incompetence, but anybody reading this would wonder why a government with the opportunity to put in place the governance structures has refused to set up the road fund board. You came here to amend the law. What is delaying the formation of the board? And contractors are suffering. Is it a sin to invest in the private sector? The Ghanaian businesses who have gone to the banks to take loans are not being paid. They have worked. Their workers are at home. They are unable to pay their workers. And if you ask the simple reason that the government for over 10 months has refused, neglected, and for whatever internal politicking is unable to set up a simple board. I thought you had the men. You had competent men and women. Some MPs who have no portfolio, who are not on any board. Why are you not putting them there? A lot of the qualified people in your government. You can't set up road fund board.
Well, let's go to the Parliament and I speak to our correspondent there, James Aveji. James, first, walk us through the report of the Committee on the Roads and Transport. Hello, James. Do I have you?
Yes, Brace.
Great. So I want you to first of all walk us through the report from the Committee on Roads and Transport.
Well, Brace, so this committee report captures the allocations of the ministry, what they expect to spend in the next 2026 year. What they want from government as well as the development partners. If you look at the report, it indicates that the ministry wants a total of 5.37 billion Ghana cedis. That is what they want. The committee has approved that the finance ministry should allocate to the committee. If you look at the breakdown, a total of 142.6 million Ghana cedis has been allocated for the payment of compensation to employees or salaries of employees, 59 million Ghana cedis for goods and services, and 5 million Ghana cedis for keepers. And so that's the total amount. Apart from that, the ministry said they are expecting a total of 910.8 million Ghana cedis as revenue from or allocations from international development partners to the ministry. We know that some international agencies, including the World Bank and others, also undertake some road projects. And so they expect those to go as high as 910 million Ghana cedis. And so that's the outlook for the approved budget for the Ministry of Roads and Highways for the year 2026. Some would say, what about the over 30 billion Ghana cedis they allocated for the big push? The indication we get is that the big push is a project on its own, and so it does not feature directly in the budget allocation for, the expenditure allocation for the Ministry of Roads and Highways. Praise.
Let's now go back to the criticism by the minority. Now, we understand that criticism drew sharp rebuttals from the majority, particularly the majority chief whip. Tell us more about that.
Exactly, Brett. So the criticism actually started with the MP for Akim Swedru, who first indicated that even though they are willing to approve this budget, the finance ministry must be able to release this amount of money. He went on to reveal that as we speak, all the allocations for the road fund, not even a CD, has been released by the Ministry of Finance for the 2025 financial year. Then the majority whip, Roxanne Nelson Dafamoso, came in, and he came in on the back of the minority leader Alexander Afenyo-Martin's presentation. In that presentation, he noted that as we speak, even the board for the road fund has not been set up, indicating that if the board is not set up, the ministry has no business arguing for allocation for such agencies under it. Then the majority whip fired back, saying that as at the time the ministry made some allocations for projects under the Agri ministry, under the previous government, some of those agencies have not even been set up. And so the minority actually has no locus arguing on that tangent.
Mr. Speaker, he was here. He launched programs that he had long started and expended public money on them before he launched them. Planting for food and jobs. One village, one dam. One district, one factory. They were begun and public expenditures were spent on them before they were launched. Today they tell us that they are surprised that Big Push has expended money on projects that had been begun earlier this year. They haven't heard them before. And because the launch was in September, so to them, the expenditure on those projects could only occur after September. What the logic? Mr. Speaker, they should be thanking this government that we are continuing with road projects that they couldn't complete one, and we are also launching massive road projects, including in areas like Winneba and Afutu. Instead of thanking this government that we are even running dual carriageways from Winneba roundabout towards Red Road, you won't praise government for it. You are here talking about figures. Those figures, the reports emanated from the committee. The committee consists of members from this side and this side. So it can never be true that this budget and the report was not properly interrogated. All the agencies appear before the committee.
Well, Avaji, the roads and highways minister has also been responding to the minority. What has he been saying?
Honorable Agboja, in his response, also indicated that, in fact, as we speak, the government during the transition period also misled Ghanaians in some declarations, especially on the amount of money that has been left for the coming government to pay in terms of road contracts that has been allocated, also calling them out for not fulfilling some major promises they made both in the road sector and outside the road sector to Ghanaians, and for which reason he thinks that the minority should help approve this budget and hold the trust that they, the majority and the government, will walk the talk and implement the essential or the major promises they have made to Ghanaians in the 2026 manifesto, as also indicated in the budget.
Projects were awarded, majority of them without any commencement authorization from Ministry of Finance. Talk about recklessness, I wouldn't even have to make any comment about that. We also inherited unpaid bills of over 60 billion Ghana cedis if you compare GOG, Road Fund, and Cocoa Board. In fact, as a result, Cocoa Board road project has not totally collapsed, and the reforms are being carried out currently as we speak. Mr. Speaker, 90% or more of the contractors on our roads were not on site. They stopped work because they have raised certificates and have not been paid for a long period of time and have actually stopped work. And Mr. Speaker, famous for those projects that contractors have stopped working was Ofanko Road, which had regular demonstrations from members of the public, and rightly so, drawing the attention of the state. Interestingly, the demonstrators were not paid any attention until 2025. But Mr. Speaker, it was very simple. The contractor was owed almost $80 million for works done and unpaid for. Mr. Speaker, President Mahama directed, and that was the first contractor that was paid. Almost 800 million Ghana cedi was paid to that contractor, and that is why that contractor is back to site today. So when the minority leader says that contractors are not being paid, I don't know whether he's talking about this country or he's talking about something else. Because a contractor they could not pay, of which the most important alignment on road traffic in our country, Accra Kumasi, was abandoned and the contractor was not working. Today, that contractor is working, and we are very, very hopeful that that project will be completed.
You're still on Top Story, brought to you by Telecel, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, and also by Shield Pension Trust. Let's bring in Kenneth Osenyako. He is a ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining here. Unfortunately, but okay. Do I have you, Honorable Kenneth Osenyako?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. So let's talk specifics. Do we know how much exactly government owes contractors that your leader is accusing the government of not paying?
Okay, so thank you very much for having me on your show, and a very good evening to your cherished listeners too as well. Yes, today as part of the estimates approval for the Ministry of Roads and Highways, an issue came up with regards to the arrears at the ministries. If you look at the report that was presented to the committee by the ministry itself, it gave details as to how much government owes contractors, both GOG and Road Fund, as at December 31st, 2024. It is captured in the report, so there's no ambiguity. As of December 31st, 2024, Government of Ghana, the outstanding IPCs or bills that the government needed to pay road contractors for under Road Fund stood at 5.3 billion. 5.3 billion, and under GOG it was 11 billion. So if you put it together, we are talking about it was around 17 billion, a little over 17 billion. That was the total outstanding bill that government of Ghana was owing contractors both under GOG project and road fund. As of September, when they just reported in 2026 budget, as of September 2025, the bill has gone. The outstanding bill for for road fund has gone up to a little over 11 billion, and the GOG outstanding has also gone up to 19 billion. So if you put it together, we are talking about an outstanding indebtedness of government to road contractors, both GOG and road fund, to the tune of 28.2 billion. That is about 60% increase as from December 31st, 2024. But I don't want to apportion any blame to anybody. Once there are projects ongoing, definitely contractors will raise certificates expecting the government to pay them. But the unfortunate part is that we are in December. Today is December 2nd. Road fund, we allocated 2.8 billion to road fund so that they could pay road contractors. As you speak, the finance minister did not even release a PESWA for the road fund to be able to. But I mean, they also raised an issue that because of a new act, the Road Maintenance Trust Fund that was passed by Parliament, which requires that certain structures are to be put in place before the board is established. A board is established, and the formula is also passed by Parliament in terms of allocation of the fund. That is the more reason why we could not make any discussion. But that cannot be an excuse. The government, all this while, knew that all these measures these structures have to be put in place. We passed this law almost 4 months now.
Okay.
And government within that 4 months could not even put up the board so that they could release the 2.8 billion road fund that we get from the fuel levies and other sources to be able to pay contractors that have worked for some time and raise certificates, and they are pending and almost more than a year. They are not getting any time. That is the most worrying part of it. I'm sure that is where the issue, heightening the tension in the House, and the road minister came in to make some kind of interventions. But
do I get a sense that when it comes to the road fund, we have money in it, but because of the new law, that's why the disbursement has been a challenge?
Yes. We have 2.8 billion in it, but it has not been disbursed because the new act that was passed close to about 4 months ago, the ministry has to put up a new board. Okay, but appoint administrators and deputy administrators to manage the fund. And as you speak, government has not done that.
So that is why the monies have not been released. But you say that as of September, the contract that are assigned to the road fund to fund, government owes around 11 billion. So
IPCs, yes.
So obviously
11, a little over 11 billion from where they took it from. They took it from 5-something billion, a little over 5 billion in December 31st, 2024. That is the outstanding bills that the government of Ghana was owing contractors that have worked under road fund. And the GOG, as at 31st December 2024, contractors that have worked under GOG and they've raised certificate to be paid was a little over 11 billion. Okay. But now, as of September now, they've all moved. The GOG has moved to a little over 19 billion. Then the road fund has moved from 5 to a little over 11 billion.
Which means,
if you put all this together, government of Ghana is owing contractors a little over 28 billion. That is 28.2 billion. That is what is captured on the record. And if anybody is speaking to any indebtedness about government to road contractors, that is exactly so. I don't know where they got that figure. The figure that the minister was talking about, the government was owing 60 billion. Maybe because the minister was talking about commitment. As for commitment, government can make commitment. But until the contractor go to site, work and raise certificates and being captured in the system, you cannot count it as, let's say, as part of government bills that government owes. If you want to know how much the actual figure that was owed by government of Ghana to contractors, both under road fund and GOG, in December 31st, 2024, the bill stood at 17 billion.
I get that point, but doesn't this raise the issue about sources of funding before contracts are given? Because as you say, the road fund alone, we owe 11 billion, but we have 2.5 billion in it. It means there will still be some outstanding. So haven't we gotten to a point where we need to look at, do we have money before we give contracts?
I think this is an issue all of us need to discuss. And I'm happy the minister, based on the advice that we gave it to him at the committee level, I think he has accepted that it is time for us to look at how we award contract to give projects. If we don't have the funding, we don't need to commit the state into any new project. And I think that is something good that we have to do. And in doing so, to also help us to reduce accumulation of arrears and debt. Because the more you give contract, the more you incur. I mean, bills will be raised and you'll be forced to find money. And this firefighting approach of paying, lift services, paying little by little to contractors, and we are not able to clear all the debt, and some of the contractors even go to the extent of, invoking certain sessions of the agreement for interest on delay payment, which sometimes is even twice of the original amount of the contract, is something that is worrying. There must be a strategy as to how we will deal with these arrears. We'll clear them, and after that, we'll go by our budget. If there's no money, we will not give any contract or any project which we don't have the funding for. And I think that is the only solution that we're in doing so. What we need to do is that then we need to pay critical attention to maintenance of our roads. Because if government is not going to commit the state in constructing new projects, then government has to pay serious attention to the existing roads and make sure that the needed maintenance support that we need to give it to the existing road are given. That one, it will reduce the bill of government.
Okay, your committee has a role to play in ensuring that is done.
Exactly. And we have indicated our readiness to support the ministry to ensure that they are able to deal with these matters so that going forward, we don't have government struggling to pay contractors that have raised IPCs, and it keeps on mounting, and it put pressure on the system and pressure on the contractors, especially those people who have gone to bank to take contract loans to do government projects, expecting to have their payment to go and pay. They are lenders. These are very serious issues, serious matters that it dates back, and we need to look at it well. Every government comes in and we complain about this. I'm sure the previous administration, the MPP administration, also came and met some kind of bills there that they needed to pay those bills. And
I'm grateful to you, Honorable Kennedy Osenyako, a ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee, for joining us here. Let me bring in the CEO of Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry. Grateful to you, sir, for joining. How much are you owed? Hello, Mr. Cherry.
Yes, yes.
How much are your members owed in terms of roads that you've done and you've raised IPP?
Yeah, as we speak now, the government-owned budget portfolio, we are talking about a little over 40 billion Ghana cedis. So I'm surprised to hear that the ranking on the road committee is stating certain figures that possibly is invariance to what exactly is in the books as we speak.
So how much you are owed is over 40 billion, not what the ranking is giving us.
Yes. So as we speak now, um, immediately government of the day took over. You and I, after going to the books, a committee has been put in place to look into the books that has been handed over to them during the handing over, and then the a consultant was also charged to do the consultancy work, making sure that every figure that has been presented together with the document match accordingly. As we speak, there is so much work ongoing, and that is what some of us, the contractors, are having a challenge with, because we have worked for years now, and then we work with agencies, ministries, and departments. Now, every contract that has been awarded has its own client. The IPC, that interim payment certificate, that is being presented by the contractors, the awarding agencies have copies of those particular certificates. Now, per the government new directive, is telling us that let every contractor that works submit IPC from, how do you call it, wherever, other 2015, 2016, or what have you, up to June 2025. The same applies to the contract document. Go and see what exactly is happening at the ministry now. The place is crowded. Surprisingly, most contractors are not even aware that this is what is ongoing. So, which means if you don't have any, how do you call it, ears on the ground, possibly far away in the other part of the country, you may end up being, how do you call it, taken out of this particular exercise. This is one of the challenges that that has been bedeviled us as a result of what? The previous government indebtedness to contractors. I'm very happy to hear that the ranking is now saying that contractors are suffering. Since when do they know? Sincerely, let's put politics aside. Whilst we were calling upon them to come to our aid, we have gone to take money from the financial market. Financial institutions are collapsing. The industry is collapsing because of we, the contractors, heavily indebtedness to them. They never mind us. Now they're in the position, they want to cry. Hey, anyway, all we need is, as we speak today, government is indebtedness to us is over 40 billion.
So what do you intend to do? What when you meet, what's the consensus among your members?
Is that?
What do you intend to do now that you know that you say government owes you more than 40 billion, but you've heard the amount that government has decided to devote in paying your debt? What will you do?
So as we speak now, the challenge we are going through, as I said earlier, is about the structures the government of the day is putting in place, making sure that he absorbs all the, how do you call it, those liabilities through the back door. All these things to us, we are seeing it as a buy time. All we need is government is owing us. We also owing the financial institutions. We are also owing the how do you call it, other creditors as well as the manufacturing sector. So if contractors have been kept in the books without paying, the entire manufacturing sector will suffer, financial sector will suffer, and therefore all we are saying is government should take a prudent steps, making sure that he makes money available to pay contractors. We are not saying you pay us all.
Okay, I'm grateful to you, Emmanuel Cherry, for joining us. So let me bring in Isaac J. Mensah, who's chairperson of the Roads and Transportation Committee. So you've listened to the contractors. They say that they are owed over 40 billion, but the amount devoted by allocated to pay them is inadequate. What's the plan in defraying those that government owes them?
So thank you so very much for bringing me to your show. I overheard the Contractors Association talking about the indebtedness to them. And I think I also appreciate this concern that government should take the appropriate steps to ensure that those bills are settled. Not all of them at all. At least some steps should be made to make sure that it's been paid. Exactly so that's what government is doing. We as a committee, when we met the ministry, this issue came up. And if you overheard me in Parliament, I talked about the escalation of debt. And so we agree with the Contractors Association that steps will be taken by the government to make sure that the bills are all settled. Most of this indebtedness are carried over from the previous administration, and the steps are being taken to ensure that some of these payments are being made. I wish you spoke with the minister. I'm aware some payments have been made to contractors, so about 5 billion Ghana cedis have been paid to contractors, and the minister has given some press release on that. But for us as a committee, we had a commitment from the ministry when we met them because we're concerned about the escalation of debt.
But the monies allocated to them is way lower than how much they are owed. So how would they be paid?
So that's what I'm saying, that you need to agree with the Contractor Association. They said, we are heading right. It says government should take appropriate steps to ensure that if they are not able to pay everything at all, reasonable or substantial part is being paid, that's been budgeted in the details. Okay. And I'm also saying that majority of these indebtedness were carried over from the previous regime.
Okay.
And so, so long as the government has accepted, has taken steps, because governance is a continuum, to make the payment, that is a good thing. So the provision in the budget is the assurance to the public that contractors can't not be allowed to be wavering around without being paid because it's too well from the previous year. And appropriate steps have been taken. So the budget allocation is to help alleviate the worries of.
I'm grateful to you. Isaac K.J. Mensah is the chairperson of the Roads and Transportation Committee of Parliament. This has been Top Story. Up next is Newsnight.
And coming up tonight, as petitions seeking the removal of the special prosecutor and electoral commissioners gain momentum, anti-corruption advocates are sounding a note of caution, asking the government and the Chief Justice to handle the situation with care, avoiding any perception of politicization or manipulation. We will hear from the petitioners.
Has been able to prosecute successfully. I know in my petition I said demonstrated bad faith.
Also, medical drone service Zipline is pushing back against claims that it's been delivering non-essential items, saying requests usually come from the health agencies.
Again, supply continuously comes from the agencies under the Ministry of Health. So even if you would want to go very deep.
We'll hear more from the country manager of Zipline.
And after almost 70 years of recurring violence, Boko may be stepping into a new chapter as leaders of the Kusasi and Mamprisi communities make progress toward reconciliation. We speak to a security analyst on what this could mean for long-term stability. Coming up in business.
Well, some Monetary Policy Committee members wanted the policy rate dropped to 17%, as some expressed concerns about the economy's exposure to external threats.
And in sports, Ghana's Black Queens take on European champions England in an international friendly later tonight.
And a bit later, controversial televangelist Nana Grada makes striking appearance before the Accra High Court, looking noticeably different from her previous public appearances as she faces allegations of broadcasting intimate images of Emmanuel Appiah on her TV channel. Details as the Accra High Court directs parties to file the terms of a plea bargain ahead of the next sitting. These and many more coming up in the next 1 hour. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
And I am Pearl Ofori.
Join us with your thoughts and comments on 055 11 11 997. We'll bring you more after this.
Ghana. No gari, no oil, no plantain, just beans then eggs.
Hey, brah, that be dangerous combination, no?
Problem no day. I feel handle am.
For Telecel, with the Bob say everybody gets what they like. That be why Made For Me bundles day. Based on your usage, you fit get your own data and call packages. Fala! Made For Me bundles like the way you want them. That *530# then buy Made For Me bundles today.
Telecel. Connecting energies.
Accra, Ghana! ACCRA! Here we go! GT Bank is back with the mega Proudly African GT Co-Concerts. And this year, we're taking it to a whole new level. Ghana, Niger, 2 countries, 1 stage, endless energy. Shatta Wale, Sarkodie, Ira Star, King Promise, Pato Ranking, R2Bs, Joe Boy, Fireboy. We're lighting up Friday, December 19th at the Accra Sports Stadium, and it's absolutely free. The biggest names in music with DJ Obi from Niger and DJ Viroski from Ghana. On a hype thing, MC Darlington and Kojo Manuel. 7 p.m. Friday, December 19th, Accra Sports Stadium. The concert everyone's talking about, the Proudly African GT Co-Concert 2025. We did lights up December, and it's absolutely free.
In a cozy restaurant in the heart of the city, 2 girls reunite. The mission, a mystery date with a Prince Charming.
You said you had a surprise that would change my life. Where is he?
Relax, he'll be here soon.
But she doesn't like
him. No, oh no.
And it gets worse when he shows up with a shadow from June's past.
Hi, June.
In partnership with Joy FM and the National Theatre, Roverman Productions present Order for 4, Uncle White play.
Do I look like a grandmother to you?
Showing on the 28th, 29th, and 30th of November, and 5th, 6th, and 7th of December at the National Theatre. Fridays at 7 p.m., Saturdays at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m., and Sundays at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. Rate 300 Ghana cedis. Buy tickets via the Korba short code *365*535#, the Roverman app, or the following outlets: Joy FM, Dantoman Chair, East Legon Chair, Airport Chair, and Community 11 Chair. Call 050-554-6010. Sponsors: Korba, Gino Tomato Mix, M Notify, Roverman Productions. Be the difference.
No matter where we are, Africa always calls us home. And here in Ghana, the call is clear: to power growth and create lasting impact. At Stanbic Corporate and Investment Banking, we are creating giants and connecting businesses. From financing bold energy projects to enabling cleaner, reliable power for industries, we are fueling Ghana's transformation. With our support, Gensa Energy is delivering sustainable energy that powers Goldfields operations, helping them move closer to cleaner, greener mining. This is a story of how we bring businesses together, create jobs, empower communities, and invest in the next generation. Stanbic Bank, delivering sustainable growth, creating impact. To learn more, visit stanbicbank.com.gh.
You're welcome back to Newsnight, and tonight anti-corruption crusaders are urging government and the justice system to tread cautiously and avoid politicizing or weaponizing the growing petition seeking the removal of both the special prosecutor and the electoral commissioners. They warn that the simultaneous pressure on the 2 institutions could erode public trust if the process appear driven by political interest rather than evidence.
Now, some point to the timing of the petitions, the charged political atmosphere, and Ghana's history of partisan attacks on independent offices as reasons for the concern, while others argue that while allegations must be investigated, rather, the constitutional procedures must be insulated from influence to protect institutional integrity and prevent a chilling effect on anti-corruption work and election management. We'll hear from them shortly. But first, what are the contents of 2 of the petitions against the special prosecutor? Listen.
The first petition, filed by the Coalition for Integrity in Governance, COFIG, on October 20, alleges misbehavior, financial mismanagement, and a lack of results at the office of the special prosecutor. COFIG claims the OSP, despite receiving over 364 million cedis between 2021 and 2024, has failed to publish audited financial statements and has recovered less than 1% of that amount. They describe this as gross mismanagement of public funds. The group also accuses Mr. Ejabin of incompetence, pointing to the absence of major convictions or asset recoveries since he assumed office. They further cite alleged insubordination, including withholding case dockets from the Attorney General and what they call an unhealthy turf war with the AG's office. COFIG is asking the president to trigger removal proceedings under Section 15 of the OSP Act and to order a full forensic audit of the office. A second petition filed on November 25 by Apostle Abraham Lincoln Labi and 2 others raises 4 additional concerns. First, they accuse the special prosecutor of poor judgment in the handling of the alleged escape of former finance minister Ken Ofori, saying his own admission that, quote, "we saw him leave," unquote, suggests dereliction of duty. Second, they allege a lack of cooperation with the Attorney General after the OSP reportedly failed to release the Ofori docket to support an extradition request. Third, the petitioners point to a conflict of interest, questioning why the OSP invited lawyer Martin Pebu to his office to respond to allegations the lawyer had made against Mr. Ejabin, saying it amounted to, quote, "being a judge in his own cause," unquote. And fourth, they repeat allegations by Mr. Pebu that some OSP staff have been used as domestic workers in the special prosecutor's private residence. Claims they say must be proved by an independent body. Both petitions want the president to direct Mr. Ejabin to step aside immediately and order a forensic investigations into the OSP's finances, operations, and handling of high-profile cases. Joy News has learned that the president has now forwarded these petitions, including a third yet-to-be-disclosed petition, to the Chief Justice for action. Under Article 146 of the Constitution, once a petition is submitted, the Chief Justice must make a prima facie determination on whether the allegations warrant impeachment proceedings. If a case is established, a 5-member committee is then set up to investigate and recommend whether the special prosecutor should be removed from office. Michael Ashale, Joy News.
Let's have a conversation on the back of this and bring in Edem Senani, who is the chairman of the African Union Advisory Board Against Corruption and also an anti-corruption campaigner. Also joining us is fundraising manager at Transparency International Ghana, Michael Bwedi. Gentlemen, glad you could join us this evening. Let me begin with you, Edem Senani. What do you make of these petitions that seek for the removal of both the SP and the Electoral Commissioners, 3 of them?
Well, thank you. The rising number of petitions seeking to remove heads of various independent institutions of state is a worrying phenomenon. As you can imagine, if you were appointed to these offices and you had some tasks and you're going to spend a lot of your time having to deal with these petitions, it clearly means that the work that is expected to be done won't get done. I think that perhaps the threshold for these kind of petitions needs to be looked at. If they are rising as a result of a certain political perception, then the mode of appointment of these officers ought also to be looked at so that we have a much more multi-stakeholder approach to appointments. But it certainly does not augur well for our governance that we have so many petitions on various heads of independent institutions of state which are critical in the space of anti-corruption. And yes, there is a sense that even though the individuals may not clearly show their political colors, the question is there a political interest, or is it just the case that the situations, the cases being handled are cases that affect their interest, and therefore persons are trying to remove these heads of institutions or to cripple the institutions from working.
Adam, I was coming to that. There are concerns that these are politically motivated. Of course, government, through its spokesperson Felix Kwachiofusu, has vehemently denied these allegations. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, because there is no specific political card being mentioned or party, yes, the political parties could say that no, we are not involved. However, one cannot take away the perception that many people have that this could just be politically sponsored because persons who have a certain interest in government want maybe some particular persons appointed into these positions. And that would be a very dangerous cycle where it is the case that when one party goes, then we assume that everybody who came or was appointed is therefore unfit, and so we find any kind of reason to try and remove them. That kind of cycle or precedent is certainly not going to promote good governance in this country.
Right, Adam, kindly hold on. We'll bring you back in. But Michael Bwedi with Transparency International is on, pal.
Well, he's on, and good evening. Thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Good evening, and thank you, and greetings to your listeners and viewers.
I'm sure you've seen these petitions. What do you make of them?
Well, just to take off from where my senior brother Adam ended, I think that it's about time Article 146 is looked at again. I think we need to review, and we need to not only look at the threshold of the petitions, but we must begin to attach some sanction to petitions that turn out to be flimsy and unmeritorious, or which smacks of conflicts of interest or political influence. We need to begin to look at that as well, so that it will not be, we just don't get into the fray where people wake up and drum up charges and then invite the state to investigate or cause forensic audit into such allegations. These are very serious allegations, and they touch on the core of our democracy. Let us not kid ourselves. Look, currently, as we see, our democracy is on the line. Rule of law is the foundation of our democracy. If we are going to get into the situation where men begin to take over the law and do as they wish because they don't like somebody or they disagree with somebody, then it is a dangerous. What that does is that in a stretch, we are beginning to weaken accountability. We are beginning to weaken checks and balance. These constitutional bodies are set up to provide an oversight on the powers of the political class, such that because they are independent, you can't touch them. The Constitution made them independent so that they are insulated from political influence. If the political class are finding a way to now touch them and move them at their whims and caprices, then what we are doing is that we are undermining that very independence that the Constitution sought to provide. When we undermine them, then the next people you appoint now would have to dance to the tune of the politicians, such that they don't get removed. So instead of fairness and fearlessness, we are going to get into a situation where they feel accountable to their political heads. And that is quite dangerous. We are also getting into a situation where we are courting a lot of international ridicule. Quite recently, it was said by a diplomat, I haven't authenticated that yet, but it was said by a diplomat that Ghana is returning into authoritarian rule. I don't think it is good for our image, and that the earlier we stop this abuse of 146, the better it will be for our nation, Ghana.
Well, we've seen political actors in the past in Ghana use legal processes to send signals or settle political scores. If you look at these petitions, do you see elements of these in them?
Well, let me tell you that I don't have the evidence to suggest that it is politically orchestrated. But if I have to rely on history, if I have to rely on things that had happened prior to the transition of power from NPP to the NDC, then it is not far-fetched to assume or think that there could be political machination or influence. Politicians have threatened over and over that the electoral commissioner will be removed. Politicians have threatened that when they come to power, they will do A, B, and C, and it is happening. So it becomes very difficult to say that it is not politically influenced, or because you don't have evidence, you will say that it is politically influenced. But what we can say as citizens of this country is that we must look. The current government promised a reset. The reset we all understood was that the things that were done previously, they were not going to do it again. So if it happened under MPP or previous NDC government, we were going to have a new government, a new way of doing things. And so the least is what the least of what we're expecting is to repeat the things that we all considered unhelpful and unhealthy to our democracy, repeating it this time round.
Thank you very much, Michael Bwedi. He's the fundraising manager, Transparency International Ghana. Earlier, we spoke to Edem Senanu, and he's the chairman, Africa Union Advisory Board Against Corruption.
Well, let's talk health tonight, because Zipline, the medical drone service, was pushing back against claims it's been delivering non-essential items. Country manager Daniel Kweku explains that requests usually come from health agencies and non-medical deliveries are extremely rare, like 1 in 20,000 flights rare. Well, his comments come after the health minister Kwabena Minta-Akando at the government accountability series revealed that audit findings indicate that only 12% of the areas served qualify as code hard to reach, and only 4% of the company's deliveries are classified as emergencies. The minister also said that the drones had been delivering non-critical items such as condoms, exercise books, and school uniforms. Listen to him.
Their services was to concentrate on the hard-to-reach areas and emergency services. But upon review of the activities, what we have realized is that the hard-to-reach areas constitute only 12% of the activities, 12%, 1-2. And emergency services is 4% of the activities. And it will interest you to know some of the items they fly. Items like condom, blood donor cards, not blood donor cards, mosquito nets, food and nutrition items, adhesive tapes, syringes and needles, education materials, among other things, textbooks, exercise books, uniforms, and a lot more. So these are some of the items they have been flying. And so when we came to office, we think that there must be value for money. And therefore, we are engaging them. So if you hear that we are not engaging Zipline, it's not true. We have met more than 3 times, and we are still engaging them to know how we can have value for money. And that is what His Excellency the President has directed us to do. That in our respective ministries, we must make sure that whatever we are doing, we have value for money.
You heard that the Health Minister Kwabena Minta-Akando speaking at the Government Accountability Series yesterday. Well, the country manager of Zipline has been responding, and he insists that the deliveries of non-medical items are extremely rare. Daniel Kweku says only 1 in 20,000 flights delivered condoms, and that such requests usually come from agencies under the Ministry of Health.
Critical life-saving commodities, which we have done. We have saved like lives in the tune of 10,000. And then there's emergencies averted. There's so many different nuances to this. Very critical deliveries. There is a list that we have with the Ministry of Health of products that we are delivering. Okay. And then there's a lot of other nuances that come into play. Again, supply continuously comes from the agencies under the Ministry of Health. So even if you would want to go very deep on those kind of questioning, then I don't even think that I'm the best person to respond to you, because we want to work with the Ministry of Health, all the agencies, to ensure that we make the highest, like the most critical deliveries. So, yeah, go ahead.
So as part of your most critical deliveries, did you find in your spreadsheet condom?
Excuse me?
Condom. The thing that you're supposed to deliver. Was condom part of those things that initially were asked to deliver?
I told you already that these condoms, right, were not it wasn't a box of condoms delivered by itself.
So it was delivered in association with other
commodities. And I think I've answered this question multiple times. And I would like to land. Okay. And again, my counter question after responding multiple times to it is, do you feel that the 1 in 20,000 is truly that significant that we need to spend a lot of the time talking?
Well, Daniel Kwekumeki also says that the drones have been delivering life-saving medical supplies efficiently across the country.
But it's people's lives at stake. Yeah. So if you are now referring to 1 in a 20,000 delivery, whilst thousands of people's lives have been saved. There's an example. We have delivered more than 30,000 anti-snake venoms. And when you look at it, you have to again look systemically. It shouldn't be the comparison of, oh, a car is going there. That's not how it works. So you have a certain, let's say, a certain hospital and snake bite might occur once or twice in a year. So if you want to store the antivenoms there, you have a lot of wastage. That's what will happen. So what happens ultimately in practice is that most of the times it wouldn't be there. Okay. Now in Zipline, you can centralize it. So you have to look at the wastage. When does it happen that we have a critical delivery and we don't have stock? Okay. Sometimes, of course, it could be that there is a national shortage. That's one thing. Sure. Another thing could be that actually there is availability, but Zipline does not have it in its warehouse. And that is what I'm pointing at with the integrated framework, is that we wouldn't want to have this happen in one region. Maybe we work very well, we save lives in another region based on the personnel.
Do you ever deliver textbooks and uniform as part of your deliveries?
So that's the interesting part for you, not the lives. I mean, it's not within our mandate. Yeah. We could have just refused to send it. Our bottom line would be better because it wouldn't have reduced the amount due to us as a company. Sure.
Well, joining us for a conversation on this is former Minister of Health, Dr. Bernard Okoboy. Good evening and thank you for your time on Newsnight. Now, first of all, what do you make of claims that Zipline is sometimes engaged in delivering non-critical items like condoms, school uniforms and exercise books, like we heard the current health minister say at the press conference yesterday?
Yeah, so let me first of all thank you very much and thank all your listeners. With all due respect, I think we have to talk to the data, not how someone feels. I watched you the last time, the majority leader said, I don't like the Zipline thing, they should cancel it. I feel it's not what you feel, it's what is happening or what is real. Zipline has made over 800,000 flights. Please, every time they take off, it is documented. You can get it given to you at the studio. Out of these 800,000 flights since 2019, thousands, about 30,000, had to do with anti-snake medicine that had to be flown and dropped in hospitals where our brothers in the village had been beaten by snakes. They were on the verge of death and were saved with the delivery. Over 30,000 had to do with black products. A woman who had delivered somewhere Upper East, bleeding at 12 a.m. whilst you and I are in Accra, and they call Zipline, they put blood in their flight, it takes off and drops it in 30 minutes. A journey that a vehicle will take about 5 hours. Every job they've done is available to the Ministry of Health, with all due respect. Why would a ministry come out and leave out the over 800,000 flights and say that once upon a time they also delivered condom? Please, do you understand what is happening? It is meant to ridicule the job they are doing. It is meant to trivialize the job they are doing so that there will be a foundation to cancel it. Yeah. Dr. Kojo, as we speak, is a member of the opposition. So maybe when I talk, someone said, oh, don't mind doctor. He is saying so because they brought it, and the minister now says that it has no value. Honorable Akando, it's possible, he's my senior brother, it's possible that he means well. Zipline is not delivering value, so he wants it cancelled or renegotiated. That is also possible.
Well, he hasn't said he's going to terminate the deal, has he?
No, and with all due respect, I didn't also say he said he was going to terminate it. I said maybe he's asking for value for money, like he said, and wants to take a real look at it. That might be the genuine reason for all this. But another reason which is possible is that politically, they are not comfortable with the arrangement because there's a background to zipline, the kind of comments the NDC made. So it is possible that politically, they don't want it. And so a case of give the dog a bad name and hang it. Now, how are you able to tell that it is a case of give the dog a bad name or genuinely they are underperforming? The only way is to ask for data, with all due respect. You are a very experienced journalist. I give you credit for intelligence. Have any of you been given the log sheet of the supplies that Zipline has done over the 5-6 years? The inventory sheet. If you don't know, I'm telling you it's available. You will see every item they flew, what time they flew it, in the night, during the day, and the day. Do you know why it's not been given? It's because when you receive that data, you might make even a more positive judgment than Dr. Koboy. So this is my recommendation. As a country, we should be careful. We should stop making decisions on our emotions and our subjective judgments. All this conversation we're having, without the document which specifies what Zipline has done, which is available to the ministry as I speak, whatever comments you make is just a lot of storm in the teacup. And let me conclude before I answer your question by saying that Zipline is not some isolated company working only in Ghana. Zipline is delivering services in Rwanda. I was in Rwanda when I was an MP. We went to check what they were doing. Zipline has received numerous awards for helping to reduce maternal mortality. And there is evidence to show that in Ghana, women where they died most times in Ghana, maternal mortality has dropped sometimes 40-50% because of the Zipline work. If we want to renegotiate or take a look at their work, that is fine. But it should be based on data and outcomes. And this attempt to ridicule a company, why did the minister mention condoms when there are 100,000 items which have been supplied? That should tell you something. And the kind of debate we are having tells me that the minister is even winning. He's managed to take the mind of the country from very key activities like dropping blood to save a woman dying. And now we are talking about condoms. And by the way, maybe Ghanaians don't know, Zipline doesn't fly any item that has not been sanctioned or given to them by the government of Ghana. It is people like the Ministry of Health, I'm talking about Ghana Health Service, and other government agencies that stock Zipline's, stores, their fridges, their laboratories. And then when they need them, they instruct them to fly it. Let me also quickly add that because the arrangement with Zipline is more or less largely fixed, meaning whether they fly 10,000 drugs at their station in a year or fly 5,000, they end up largely getting the same amount of money paid. Sometimes government officials negotiate with the agencies in health to get Zipline to fly some items for them that are needed badly. So I'll give you an example. If in our front planes, they are writing some exams, and because of any reason, one particular school don't get their papers, Zipline can reach our front planes in 20 minutes, a distance that a vehicle will take maybe 6 hours. What happens is that sometimes some government officials go and plead with other officials in health that, can you tell these your guys who have this network to drop drugs to help us drop this item? Those are not decisions made by Zipline. They are made by government officials. And in any case, they are always isolated cases. So please, if this government is uncomfortable with Zipline for political reasons, they should be bold and say it.
Dr. Bernard Okoboy, thank you so much for speaking to us on Newsnight.
Well, let's bring in Professor Titus Bayo, who is a member of Parliament for Lambisi and also a member of the Health Committee in Parliament. You've been listening in. Glad you could join us this evening. 1 in 20,000 deliveries were condoms. That's according to Zipline. But, well, they are worried as to why the health minister really focused on the deliveries of condoms. The question about value for money for Zipline has come into the center of this argument. What do you think?
Yeah, good evening. Good evening to your listeners, and thank you for having me. So the fundamental thing is that, indeed, the value for money question deserves to be raised. And it is being raised because there is substance and data for us to rethink. On what basis will a service which the whole nation was informed in Parliament and other critical stakeholder engagement that the taxpayers' peso will not be spent on it. And today we are having $88,000 per site per month. Therefore, there's a need to raise that question. The second thing is that at this current rate, the calculations were such that for us to be optimizing this money, we should be making about 200 deliveries per day per center. Some centers are not even doing up to 30. Now, if you look at the operations of Zipline, they were supposed to go for hard-to-reach areas. The data that we have suggests that these hard-to-reach facilities constitute just about 12% of the total number of facilities served. If we talk about the essential deliveries, they do either agency or emergency deliveries, resupply, or scheduled. Now, bulk of their deliveries are now resupply and scheduled. What this means is that these are not emergency. And with strengthening of our local logistics system, we will not need Zipline to do those work at that cost. The final reason why we have to ask the value for money question is that Zipline, as Okoboy said, is not only in Ghana. At the Malawi Center, it's costing about $20, $30, $50 per delivery. Ours at the current rate is around $88 to about $100 per delivery. Why should we not ask questions? And so if we were established for a purpose and we are no longer meeting that purpose, or your emphasis on that purpose is reduced, then the need for us to discuss.
Professor Bayo, do you have any other alternatives available, especially for places that are inaccessible, and what measures should government put in place to ensure there's no disruption of health services, especially in hard-to-reach areas? Are there other alternatives that you would propose?
There are several alternatives, but let me debunk this unfounded fear that is being raised. Dr. Bernard Okoboy mentioned that Zipline's operation has been shown to reduce maternal mortality in some places by 40%. I challenge you on your network to produce the data. Studies have shown that before and after intervention, in a lot of the indicators, there was no difference. Like vaccine stock-out rate, like vaccine distribution rate, there has been no difference. So if it has data that can show us that death attributable to blood or something, that intervention from Zipline reduced by 40%, you should let us know. I emphasize that they are overrating the impact of physician of Zipline services.
Okay.
But the alternative quickly is that if we strengthen our local supply chain system, set up blood banks, supply blood fridges, which may be at a quarter of the cost of what we are paying to Zipline, we can sustain services in the emergency in these areas.
Okay. All right, Professor Titus Bayo, thank you very much. He's a member of Parliament's Health Committee and also MP for Lambusi.
You're listening to News Night. In a bit, we'll bring you business news. But before that, over 50 students of KJB Asato SHS in the OT region have been admitted at the hospital after suffering from heat exposure during a fire that razed one of the boys' dormitories. Authorities are now scrambling to find alternative sleeping places for the affected students whose belongings were destroyed in the blaze. Some of the students have been speaking to Joy News.
Handshakes are replacing hostility, and dialogue is urging out gunfire. At long last, peace.
So I was in the class, and then I heard noise from the dormitory. So as I rushed to the dormitory, I went and reached. Smoke was coming out of a dormitory, some 2 dormitories. So as I tried to see, students were trying to remove things that were inside those dorms. So as they were trying to remove all those things, as they entered, they were not able to see the particular things that were for the students. Everything got bent. So after that, the fire service came, and they were trying to off the fire. So as the fire was off, after that, the students were now crying that how would they do to get their autobuses back again. What I will say is that they have not done anything which is pleasant to us. Almost we did everything. So after the fire was trying to off, before they came.
I would like to pray with the district assembly to come and fix the roof that got bent so that we can go back to our dormitory because the rain are still coming. So.
You hear that some students at KJB Asato SHS in the OT region. Joining us right now is our correspondent, Peter Seno. Now, Peter, you reported on this incident earlier. What's the latest update? And also, you mentioned that about 10 people had been hospitalized. What's their condition now?
Well, as we speak, we can confirm that but the number, according official number now stands at over 40 students have been traumatized by the fire situation. Have been hospitalized in various health facilities around KBB, Gyasi, and then the Papasi. But our information is that they are being discharged from these various hospitals back to campus. And so over 300 students have been affected by the fire this morning. But the latest update is that the regional minister, John Kwadi, is currently in the school premises speaking to students and the management of the school, assuring them of government commitment to expand infrastructure to accommodate the number of students that the school had admitted recently, and also ensure, promising them that the infrastructure, the facility that got burnt will be attended to within the shortest possible time. And where they are currently keeping them, which is an abandoned dormitory facility, will also be attended to the shortest possible term. So that is what the minister has been here telling school authorities and the school children. Of course, we also encourage the students to take their lessons seriously so that they can at least make the grades they want to make for themselves and their families. So that is the latest to the fire incident that occurred at KJB Asato Senior High School early Tuesday morning.
And you have our OTA regional correspondent, Peter Seno. It's time for a business, and George Rafi is here to give us the latest in the world of business. Over to you, George.
Well, coming up, some Monetary Policy Committee members wanted the rate dropped to 17% range as they expressed concerns about the economy's exposure to external threats, and total value of mobile money funds lodged with commercial banks reached 258 billion Ghana cedis. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. Synthesis tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal.
Hey, Ruben. Every 2 seconds notification. The Momo keeps on coming. It keeps on coming, eh?
Ma, I am the community Momo man now. People send money, and with the Momo app, every payment is done. My transactions are flying.
Hey, Adeng.
Ah, Ma, you didn't know, eh?
Over 2 million Ghana cedis is up for grabs in the Stillman Saka promo. Transact more than 100 Ghana cedis with your Momo app, and you could win daily, weekly, and monthly monthly cash prizes, and 100,000 Ghana cedis grand prize. And it's not just payments and money transfers. Bank to wallet transactions, savings, loans, investments, pensions, POS transactions, and Momo transactions from other partner platforms qualify. This promo runs in collaboration with the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Center Point Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
At Star Oil, we believe fuel is not just a commodity, it is a lifeline. Every cedi saved at the pump is a cedi that helps a mother send her child to school, a farmer transports food to the market, or a young entrepreneur deliver their first order. Our mission is to make fuel more accessible by offering consistently competitive prices, helping ease the financial burden on Ghanaian households. In a country where transportation costs can consume nearly a third of household income, this is not just business. It's a social responsibility. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
Brushing gets more fun with your kids with the new Pepsodent Kids toothpaste. Give your smiles protection that lasts. Grab yours today from a store near you. This advert is FDA approved.
For many years, we've been solving Ghana's water storage problems with quality tanks. Syntex tank. You know, it is strong, it's tough, and reliable. And now, we're in to solve the #1 problem when it comes to water carriage. Our pipes. With the state-of-the-art machinery, Syntex is providing very strong, tough, reliable, high quality, and durable pipes at a reasonable price. This is Syntex Pipes. With Syntex Pipes, water flows wow. I mean, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. If they carry water, no wahala. With Syntex Pipe, our water problems are solved. Syntex, are you strong? Are you tough?
This year is going to be sweet. I don't just feel it, I know it, because the Luckiest Season 3 is back.
And I'm about to show you how to grab your golden ticket. Just dial *712# and follow the prompts to purchase your ticket. Or go to theluckiestafrica.com, hit community tickets, and pick your lucky number.
Or let the system do its magic. Choose how much you want to spend from 1 to 5,000 Ghana cedis. You can even buy a ticket for someone else. Be someone's hero. Payment? Easy. Mobile money in Ghana or card if you're international.
one ticket can turn one CD into 500 times more. That's maths we love. Or your community go win 10 times more. So let's get lucky together because luck is everywhere.
Every mosquito study run away. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, mi se come tonton preko. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Nani sham ne die, demonstronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, some members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana wanted the rate cut further to the 17% range. There is more in this report.
This came into light of Ghana released official minute of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting by the 6 members to review development in the economy. A careful look at the report showed 2 members on the committee wanted the rate cut to reach 17% range before the end of this year. One, for instance, pushed for a 450 basis point cut to 17%, while another member also voted by 400 basis point cut to 17%. Some of the members from the report were also worried that, regardless of the recent recovery, the economy is still exposed to external shocks. These external developments could affect the current recovery. That is why one of the members, for instance, wanted a policy rate cut by some 200 basis points. Inflation rate for the month of November is likely to be released this week. Many will be looking forward to see how the numbers will look like and the policy impact on the policy rate going forward.
And that is the Business Desk report. Now, the total value of mobile money accounts kept with commercial banks have reached new record levels. Data from the Bank of Ghana puts the amount at 258 billion Ghana cedis. Now, these are not total transactions, but rather funds held on the mobile money wallets that are being kept at commercial banks. Data shows the continued growth in the amount over the past months. Now, the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stephen Mason, is calling on the Bank of Ghana and financial institutions to ease or help improve access to credit for businesses in the country. He made this call at a meeting or a program organized by the Bank of Ghana in Accra.
Access to finance or credit remains one of the most persistent challenge confronting businesses today. And let me say, in recent times, I've had opportunity and they are talking about, oh, Bank of Ghana is doing well. They are bringing interest rate down. Yeah, that's true. Thank you to all of you. But you see, the challenge is not the interest rate coming down. It is also the access to the finance. Because if something is cheap and you cannot get it, then really it's a zero-sum game. I believe you all agree with me. So in as much as Bank of Ghana, you are doing so well in putting in every effort to ensure that the cost of credit comes down, please put in every effort to make it accessible to those of us in industry and in business.
President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stefan Abbas Mason. Now, Delta Airline has officially launched its expanded seasonal Accra Atlanta service at Kojo International Airport. Today, daily flight, which opens for 6 weeks from January 16, is a response to the strong travel demand between U.S. and Ghana, particularly during the peak December-January holiday season. Speaking at the launch of the that is the Gyasi manager in Ghana, Eliuna Badu, expressed gratitude to customers for the support of Delta's growth and operations in Ghana.
I want to say a big thank you to all our customers. If you are flying on this first Accra Atlanta seasonal flight, you have joined us to make history, and you are the reason why we have been able to stay in this market for 19 years.
On his part, Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Reverend Stephen Walter Arthur, commended Delta Airlines for the continued commitment to Ghana.
It is a dream really come true. We wish Delta Airlines the very best of service. We believe that they will continue to offer the service that continues to put smiles on the face of families, friends, loved ones, officials, and the like.
And that is the Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Reverend Stephen Wilfred Arthur. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Well, thank you, George. Now, for nearly 7 decades, the town of Boko has been scarred by recurring bloodshed, its people trapped in a vicious cycle of revenge and retaliation. But a glimmer of hope emerged yesterday as the Kusasis and Mamprisis, the two warring factions, put aside their differences and took a crucial step towards reconciliation. The conflict, which has shut down schools and clinics, displaced thousands and crippled businesses, seemed intractable, but the Asantini Otunfo 82 has stepped in, leading mediation talks at the Menchia Palace in Kumasi. The following report has more.
Handshakes are replacing hostility, and dialogue is urging out gunfire. At long last, peace in Boko appears within reach. The conflict dates back to 1957, when a disputed chieftaincy appointment ignited tensions between the Kusasi, the indigenous people of Boko, and the Mamprisi, who held chiefly authority under colonial rule. Over time, political interference, inconsistent rulings, and ethnic manipulation deepened the divide, trapping the town in cycles of violence and retaliation. For nearly 7 decades, Boko has paid a heavy price. Lives have been lost, families displaced, schools shut, markets abandoned, and businesses driven away. An entire generation grew up in fear and uncertainty. Now, the future depends on sustained commitment. Peace will require economic recovery, trauma healing, youth demilitarization, and a transparent resolution of the chieftaincy question.
Let's go to the court now. When controversial tele-evangelist Nana Agrada made a striking appearance before the Accra High Court today, looking noticeably different from her previous public appearances. She is facing allegations of broadcasting intimate images of Pastor Emmanuel Appiah on her TV channel, and her court appearance has drawn significant attention. Agrada is already serving a 15-year prison sentence for fraud and charlatanic advertisements. The court ordered Agrada and her co-accused to file the terms of a proposed plea bargain ahead of the next hearing on December 16, while a member of a legal affairs desk, Fatal Bayaga, was in court and joins us in the studio with more. So Fatal, give us a brief background of this case before moving to what happened in court with regards to this matter.
So, Pearl, the matter stems from accusations that Nana Agrada, once a fetish priestess and now a tele-evangelist, broadcast intimate images of Pastor Emmanuel Appiah, popularly known as Ofori Appiah, on her television channel and across social media without his consent. Then prosecutors say the images were aired during a live program where panelists allegedly ridiculed the pastor, an act they argue violates the Cybersecurity Act 2020 Act 1038, which criminalizes the non-consensual distribution of intimate content. So despite currently serving a 15-year prison sentence in another case involving defrauding by false pretense, Agrada was transported to court for this particular case.
Well, you said she looked different from her previous appearances. How did she look?
Yes, pale. So Agrada appeared before the court, flanked by officers from the Ghana of Prison Service and her lawyers. So looked calm and composed throughout the proceedings. But you talk about how she looked in court. You know, before she was in prison, Agrada looked fresh, fair in complexion, had a bit of weight. But today the situation was quite different. She was looking a bit darker and leaner in her new appearance.
Fatal Bayaga is a member of a legal affairs desk. Kenneth, we have some comments on the stories we brought listeners.
Indeed, we do. And this one is from George from Malangbawi. He says Ghanaians talk too much because no head of an independent institution like the judiciary, OSP, EC is truly independent because they are all appointed by politicians. Francis from Accra says, former health minister should give us a break for always using snake bite injection as a case for bloated cost at Zipline. There are a number of the messages that you sent to us, but because of time, we cannot read all of that for you. Thank you very much for being a part of the show this evening. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
And I am Pearl Ofori.
And right after Newsnight, though, is Gig Squad, and Adobia is already seated in the studio. Adobia, what do you have for us this evening? Hi.
It's been a very good year. We are in the month of December, and we've been talking a lot about technology. So tonight, we want to find out from our listeners which of these technological apps that they've used have been very beneficial. We'll basically be learning from one another this evening.
I can't wait.